本格的な夏ですね。
Whenever I took Machiro by the hand and walked her to school, I always got a gentle smile in return. You mean the humidity?
いいえ、私は兄様の手で季節を感じるのです。
So, you mean to say my hand is a little sweaty? I would have wiped it off if I could, but Machiro held onto my hand tight.
恥ずかしがらなくてもよろしいですのに。
Well, you always did have a lower body temperature.
とっとと行こう。暑くてかなわん。
The ex-goddess had already been completely spoiled by life in an air-conditioned space. You okay, Didi? I checked with her before we left, since I had to worry about her getting heat stroke more than any others.
私のわがままバディのことでしたらご心配なく。日本の夏にも慣れてきましたし、最近は調子も良いことです。 DD さんの体のどこがわがままなんです？将来性です。だから遊んでないで行くぞ。
Crow held on to the back of my shirt as we walked. At this rate, she was going to end up stretching it. The four of us walked the usual road to school. Summer break was slowly approaching, and there weren't any new developments on the horizon. The days ahead looked to be calm and peaceful. Having heard Crow's story about her gloomy past, I understood how these peaceful times were happiest days for us humans. But regardless of that, I'm bored.
兄様の悪い癖が。
Machiro sighed.
そろそろ退屈な生活に飽きてくる頃だと思いましたが、命がかかっているのですから自重してくださいね。
I didn't even say anything yet.
兄様は刺激に飢えていますよね。この夏はいっぺんにいろいろなラブを体験してますからね。余計に違いがストロングなんでしょう。
I still haven't said anything yet.
つまらんという一言だけで我が輩ですら嫌な予感しかせんがな。
Too brute.
とにかく夏、制服、モノレールとこの辺りに強く関わることは避けてくださいね。
At least until summer is over, right? It'll be for a few months, but a few months can seem like a long time.
個人的には今の学園にいる間は危ないので恋人作りは自重していただきたいですが。
Come on. Don't put a kibosh on my youthful years already.
お嬢様はご主人様がフリーの期間が長いほど自分が有利になるからですね。あはご
Bullseye, huh?
油断も隙もあったものではないな。
Putting aside Machiro's usual scheming self for the moment, getting a girlfriend wasn't what had me worried. Rather, it was the opinion they had of me. Hey, am I really that untrustworthy? I asked with a serious face. At that, the three of them went quiet and looked at each other for a moment. Evidently, Didi had been wordlessly chosen as their representative.
当たり前です。
I think they kind of had a weird opinion of me.
いや、私なんで投稿してきたばかりで廊下に連れ出されてそんな話を聞かされなきゃいけないの？
I thought you would sympathize. As she said, this was right after we got to school. I couldn't fathom what the other girls had said about me. Even I wouldn't try to make a move on a girl if it would get me killed.
わかるけどさ。
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
いや、DD さんとかみちるちゃんの気持ちがわかるって話だけど。
Hey, two brutes. What a disappointment. No, I mean, I won't deny that I wanted to get a girlfriend this summer.
で、いたいけな少女5人もそのどこかにかけたわけだね。この鬼畜さんめ。
That's uncalled for. Besides, was it actually 5? Makoto, Michiru, Masaki to the end. Oh, she was counting Mio. But like, I didn't force any of them into that, and even if I've ended up with a harem, I don't even have any memories of doing anything sexual. Doesn't that matter at all?
なんで自信なさそうになってるの？
Well, you know, I just feel bad for the other girls.
そういうことか。
Makoto suddenly smiled. What?
レイ君の誤解は逆だよ。逆っていうか、変な考え違いしてるのかな。珍しいね。
Huh?
レイ君が落ち着かないのはさ、つまらないんじゃなくて、誰の気持ちにも応えてあげられない今の状況のせいだよ。普段からふざけてるけど、レイ君はどっちかというと根っこが真面目すぎだよね。
Am I?
まあ、聞いてよ。
Makoto raised her hand up like a conductor.
私風にはそれは義理がたいってことなんだけど、レイ君がただ女の子と付き合いたいってだけの男の子ならみんな心配しないと思う。だけどレイ君はきっと好きになった子のためなら何でもしちゃう。流されてじゃなくて自分の意志でだから止められない。それがみんなには怖いんだよ。
I realized that Makoto's voice and expression had suddenly become very serious. You can't change an individual's will. That was something I recalled Makoto before our little dice rolling game. Recalled telling Makoto before our little dice game. I see. After thinking about it for a moment, I was convinced. In other words, I wasn't being thought of as a fool or a clown.
死ぬと分かっていても義理人情のために日本刀一本で相手の組に飛び込んじゃう用心棒みたいで信用されてないってことかな。
Only you would use an example like that. But for the most part, she was right. So that's how people see me. Well, that's a relief.
いつものレイ君ならすぐに気づきそうな話なんだけど。
Makoto gave a wry smile. I guess I never really thought about that because everybody stopped me from doing that. It was also probably because Crow wasn't a ghost anymore, so I couldn't talk to myself to get another perspective either. Oh, Makoto, thank you.
別にいいけどさ、こういう話を他のことはしないのに私とは気軽にしちゃうんだからちょっとうかつだよね。レイ君が手を抜いたのは私が相手の時だけだし。
Careless? Yeah, I went easy on you. I looked at her curiously, unsure what she meant.
他の子を相手にしてた時はレイ君はいろいろと必死だったでしょ。でも私が時計の影響でおかしかった時、レイ君はすぐ時計を奪えたのにしばらく遊んでたよね。非日常な事件で楽しかったからでしょ。
I couldn't deny what she said about my adventures with the other girls. Well, you know, seeing your naked body just took me for...
ここでそれは言わないで。
Makoto hastily covered my mouth.
誰かに聞かれたらどんな誤解をされるか。いや、誤解じゃないからまずいのかな。
Her bright red face was so close to mine. She was cute, and her hand on my mouth was really soft. I wanted to lick it.
お主らは何を騒いでおるのだ。
Crow's condescending voice rang out from inside the classroom as she peeked out. And then seeing Makoto with me as well, her brows furrowed even more.
人さらいか。身代金はたっぷり払ってもらえそうだよね。本気なのか？
It was an obvious joke, but Crow still took it seriously. Then she leapt towards me and Makoto.
ダメだ。おっと。
Makoto quickly dodged Crow's attack, or rather, Crow was so slow that Makoto only had to step out of her way. Stumbling over her feet, Crow got between us again, as if to shield me from Makoto.
いかんぞ。ご主人は我が輩の。クロちゃん。なんじゃ。冗談だから。 冗談。
Makoto held out her hands in a display of innocence. Crow turned to look at me instead as I just returned a blank expression. We were just screwing around, I guess.
なんだ、そうだったのか。紛らわしいことをしようって。
I'm more surprised that you ran in and tried to save me.
この馬子の場合、人さらいというのも冗談にならんところがあるだろう。そんな警戒しないでよ。
Makoto bent over to look more closely at Crow's guarded expression.
なんじゃ、我が輩の顔に何かついておるのか？そうじゃなくて。
Why don't you try reading her palm?
いや、占いしてるわけじゃないし。
Makoto brushed me off, instead focusing her gaze intently on Crow. Crow, who didn't understand what was going on, looked back and forth between me and Makoto. I was starting to get suspicious too, but then Makoto finally pulled her face away.
そっか。わかった。何がだ？クロちゃんも女の子だなって。私も覚悟を決めないとな。
Having said that as carefree as could be, Makoto strode back into the classroom Crow had just come out of.
何だったのだ？
Don't ask me. Here I thought that Makoto and I were the most alike, and that her feelings were quite easy to understand. Or maybe it was precisely because we were so alike that I couldn't tell what she was up to. More importantly, were you trying to protect me from Makoto just now?
そうだが。
Don't be an idiot. You're way smaller than me.
そうだな。それはさすがにその通りだ。全く意味がない。
Well, I appreciate the sentiment. I patted Crow on the head, which made her scowl melt away.
そうであろう。我が輩をもっと褒めるがよい。
I'll praise you as much as you want, but don't do anything too dangerous.
おっと、そうであった。我が輩を守るのがお主の役目か。
Then the bell rang.
授業からも守ってくれると良いのだが。
Do you want me to help you study tonight?
勉強は昼間だけで十分だ。
I went back to the classroom, dragging Crow behind me as she shook her head from side to side. After that, it was the same old, same old. Come the end of the fourth period today, Crow's battleship had been totally sunk.
お前は回復ポイントか何かなのか？
Shuji commented on Crow's habit of coming over and clinging to me during every break period. Hey, it's not like I came out and said she could do this. My hands are clean.
人の温かさというのはなかなか心地よくてな。
That reasoning sounded like a puppy or kitten attached to its mother or something.
やっぱり留学生には日本語が難しいのかもな。
Shuji looked worried about Crow. Or rather, she was just making a fool of herself. Well, let's just give her time to relax.
うわ
grabbed Crow by the scruff of the neck and dragged her out of the room with me, a gesture I was getting awfully accustomed to doing by now. Crow took a deep breath when we got to the rooftop, as if she had been holding her breath underwater in a pool until that moment. You're becoming more and more human every day? Well, I said so, didn't I? She seemed to get all her energy back when we were alone, and seeing her so relieved brought a smile to my face. She looked about ready to tell me she wouldn't be going to school on Monday. If you hold out for another week, you'll be able to breathe easier during class. It's normal to think that school is stupid and boring, though. Crow heaved another small sigh after saying that. Your daily bread? What era does that figure of speech come from? She had quite an all-encompassing memory. Well, it certainly is difficult for people to keep up with the advancements of technology nowadays. I pulled out my smartphone and fiddled around with it. My father and grandfather had told me to change with the times, but nowadays, a book that had once taken days to write by hand could now be typed on a computer in hours. And with the advancement of high-speed internet and smartphones, humanity's time seemed to accelerate further. Well, that's how I want to enjoy my youth while I'm still a student. That again, it's not really something I can specifically define for you, though. Crow's eyes sparkled as she came closer. Well, expanding your circle of friends is a good thing too, but the most important part of enjoying youth is pursuing your interests, right? I felt like some old geezer lecturing a young girl on the meaning of human life. Why don't you try making some friends other than me? Don't just rush to the worst possible conclusion like that. I think you get along really well with someone like Mew, for example. That's not solving the problem here. It wasn't a bad feeling to have someone so dependent on me, but it was my personal belief that people were better off independent and not relying on others. Talking about falling in love? Not just being friends? That's something you knew long before being a human yourself, though. Still, that brought back memories. To fall in love, I looked out over the edge of the rooftop. Would this have been around the time when Mew would have made her second attempt at confessing to Shuji? No, that whole thing happened within a span of a week. The exact date had already passed quite a while ago. In this timeline, I was far past that point. You don't need a reason to fall in love, huh? I guess not. I scratched my head. Love is what you feel for the person you like most of all. No, wait. That's pretty much the same way you worded your question. If there's someone who makes you think you want to live together with them and eventually die together with them, then I guess most people would call that love. Crow clearly looked dejected. Alright, death was still something Crow was frightened of. That's the way love goes, I guess. It's that strong of an emotion. To put it bluntly, people tend to develop those kind of feelings for someone they want to have sex with. Given you, I should have guessed it. I can only sigh. You would be cute if you could at least act like you were embarrassed to talk about that stuff.
まさに人間だな。
With a mischievous grin, Crow hiked up her skirt. Not again!
またとはなんだ？年中発情男。
Crow smiled and reproached me with her usual sarcastic tone of voice.
つまりこういう行為に抵抗がないことが我が輩の問題なのだろう。それにこれはなかなか涼しくて気持ちよいのだ。
It's indecent. So knock it off. Last time I turned back time to stop her, but if I didn't do something about her lack of shame, she'd just keep doing it.
どう言おうとご主人の視線は見るべきところを向いていると思うがな。
I know that, but it's a male instinct for me to look. I was disappointed in my own lack of resistance. This time, however, I wasn't quite as perturbed to see her expose herself. Just don't ever do that in the classroom.
今ならいいのか？
I'm not saying you should show me. I'm just saying that you should make sure no one else sees you do it. Wouldn't mind if you turn the other way either.
ご主人の困り顔が好きでな。
She was just like a little child who got her kicks from playing pranks. When Crow saw my sour face, she exhaled and flapped her skirt in the air.
こうすると太ももの間の汗が乾いて気持ちよいのだ。
Stop screwing with me. If she let her guard down for too long, I might be tempted to play a prank on her by sticking my head up her skirt. The urge I felt was pretty much the same as the urge some people feel to yank out a hair sticking out of someone's head after they turn around. I felt the smooth fabric of her spandex on my fingers. My heart was beating a little bit faster, but this time it was nothing more drastic than that. At that moment, Crow's cheeks turned bright red. Oh, huh? I was taken aback by her unexpected reaction. I expected that Crow would just tell me to knock it off because it was ticklish, but...
なんだ今のは。
Crow wore a conflicted expression on her face as she narrowed her eyes at me, unsure what that sensation she felt was. With that expression, where I was standing, it was plainly evident that she was flustered. Did Crow just get embarrassed? Well, I apologize for touching you, but why now? You were all over me in the classroom before, and now you're acting this way?
そうだな。変だな。ご主人に触れていると安心するだけだったのだが。
I could practically see the dizzy spirals in Crow's eyes. She ended up having to close them.
これはそう下半身がムズムズするのとドキドキするな。
That's...
だがこれも悪い気分ではないな。
I tried to say something, but I couldn't find any words to say.
ふざけすぎたな。
Crow let go of her skirt and gently brushed it off. She seemed to be back to her normal attitude, excepting the lingering redness in her cheeks.
なんだか暑いな。
There was a particular significance hidden behind Crow's awkward smile. But what? What am I supposed to do here? Even after all the experiences I had with the other girls, this sort of situation still made the blood rush to my head.
もしかしてこれが恋愛感情なのか。
Don't ask me.
お主顔が赤いぞ。
I was in no place to tell her that her face was the same way right now.
どうなのだろう。この温かさは恥ずかしいというだけなのか、人として大切な思いなのか。
Crow put her hand on her modest chest while muttering to herself. It was like she was carefully packing away something inside her chest for later examination. Perhaps it was because we were standing on the same rooftop as that other time, but seeing her struggle to comprehend the pure feelings within her own heart, she seemed just like Mew. I looked up at the sky. This really was a place where it all began. A shiver ran down my spine. After experiencing multiple different loves, I had gained a measure of self-confidence, but at the same time I had perhaps become too complacent. It was at that moment that I realized, ever since I escaped from the monorail that evening, I had been acting strange. I had stopped taking action. I had stopped thinking. I had lost my usual casual joking self. I felt these bitter feelings rush back to the forefront of my mind, feelings I felt on that day when I could not reach out to Mew. I had lived through more than a few unpleasant experiences, but I was still alive and well. I couldn't help but grin. Just like the hands of time, the world rotated once more on its axis.
Mei-kun, ちょっと時間ある?
What is it? Normally, Crow would be the first one to come over to me after school was over, but this time Makoto had the first dibs. Looking over, I saw Crow was preoccupied with Dee Dee, and for some reason Dee Dee was glancing furtively toward me. Oh, so that's what it is.
ちょっと、クロちゃん抜きでね。
We both understood each other's intentions, so we didn't have to beat around the bush. Dee Dee, who had been talking to Crow, looked over and made eye contact with me. She had probably convinced Crow to go somewhere with her, so I waved them off as if to say, go ahead. Well, let's get going too then. I picked up my bag and left the classroom with Makoto. I was curious about where she wanted to take me, but surprisingly enough, we stopped in front of the school gate. Michiru and Masaki were there too, including Makoto. That made the three of them. So as to keep my button line trio, huh? That made Dee Dee and Mia the ones not present. In other words, there was no need to involve the two people who weren't all that suited to a serious discussion like this.
無駄な前置きは省きましょうか。
Michiru showed a great big smile, but somehow, something didn't seem right about that smile. My little sister would only put on such a charming face if she were about to say something terribly inconvenient to the person to whom she was directing that smile at. In other words, this was her war face.
クロさん、兄様のことを好きになっていませんか?
Well, duh. She's definitely sticking to me like rotten glue.
質問を訂正します。性的な意味で好意を抱いていませんか?
Masaki moved her gaze from me to Michiru, then back to me, and then back to Michiru again. An exquisite double take. You think she's attracted to me? Could you not joke about that, please?
あいにく沢渡の血がこうさせるのです。沢渡さんって芸人だっけ? そういうことじゃないでしょ!
Masaki stamped her foot in protest.
私は先輩と顔も合わせないように我慢してるのに、一体どういうことなの?
I admire your honesty, Masaki. I was physically surrounded by these girls, and even if no punches had been thrown, there was definitely a battle of wits unfolding already.
みちるや誠先輩はクロちゃんの態度が怪しいと思ってるみたいだけど、どうなの?
Given how she's been acting, of course I'm suspicious too. I came out and admitted it.
軽い返事だな。兄様自身が認めるなら勘違いではなかったようですね。いつからお気づきだったのですか?
Today, and I'm certain of it myself.
さすが兄様、おかしな子によく惚れられますわ。なんでみちるは余裕なのよ。私は困った時ほど笑う方が気が引き締まるもので。怖っ！そうでなくても兄様の褒めたたえられる姿に興奮しますから。
I'm glad you're proud of your brother, but it's only that Crow doesn't have any other options besides me. Not only that, well, I should say that Crow herself doesn't even realize how her feelings are romantic.
やっぱり。
I faintly heard Makoto say that to herself. Thinking back on when Crow tried to protect me from her this morning, this is probably why Makoto stared her down afterwards. Perhaps because Makoto herself had been so familiar with matters of love, she saw something similar in Crow's actions.
とにかくクロちゃんに言って 先輩に。お待ちなさい、美咲さん。
Machida reached out and grabbed Masaki.
プリンのような柔らかさ。今、私、どこに触りました？何って、そんな恥ずかしいこと言えないし。
Spit it out.
こらこら、脱線し続けてるから。
If our train of thought's out of commission, then I'll just hop into the UFO.
あんたはどこにワープする気よ。
Exquisite, Masaki. Even now, your comebacks remain as exquisite as ever.
沢渡にお目入りされる準備でしょうか。違うか。何言ってるのよ。私は一人娘なんだから、先輩が安藤の方にでしょ。焦ってるくせに言いたいことは言い切っていますね。この脱線から戻ってこない会話って私の何かを試されてるの？
What were we talking about again? I had forgotten to.
誰のお話からおかしくなったんでしたっけ？あんたよ、あんた。
Masaki guarded her just groped chest as she retorted at Machida.
ああ、そうそう。黒さんが兄様への恋愛感情を抱き出してしまったことは確かに問題です。しかし、それを本人に指摘してしまっては、かえってやぶへびにしかならないと思うのです。レイ君がクロちゃんの気持ちに応えなければ、まあ、大丈夫なんだけどね。
Makoto looked at me in the eyes. Yeah, I get it. It's not like I have a death wish, anyway.
そうよね。先輩もそこまでバカじゃないだろうし。
Is that all you wanted to talk about?
今日のところは、そうかな。
Then I'm going home.
私も一緒に。逃がさないわよ。
This time Masaki was the one who grabbed Machida.
みちる、登校以外は先輩と一緒にいないようにって私と約束したでしょ。死なばもろともでしたね。大いなる自爆だわ。
The two first year girls sighed in unison. They really had excellent chemistry. Must be because they're such good friends. Then what are you doing after this, Makoto?
私はちょっとやることあるから。
I see. In that case, I should at least thank you guys for worrying about me. Expressing my gratitude, I strolled off merrily, leaving the three of them behind. Yes. I lied, didn't I? I immediately went home and just killed time lazing around in my room for a bit. What am I supposed to do now? Despite the girls' worries, I had already decided what I was going to do. Figuring I'd wait long enough, I took out my phone and sent a text message off. Crow, let me know when you're on your way home. I'll come get you. And sent. Didn't take very long for me to get a reply.
悪いな。では夕暮れに中央公園で。
When is this evening anyway? Is she channeling Run Mayless or something? Well, I guess 6 o'clock would be a decent enough time. I had some free time until then, so I should have spent that time studying, but naturally I didn't. I did at least get some cleaning done though. Then a little after 6 o'clock I set out for Central Park. As I walked along, the sky gradually turned a deep shade of red. Another summer's dusk.
ああ、ご主人、出迎えご苦労。
I spotted Crow as soon as I arrived. She wore a warm smile. She had a short stature, but her hair color stood out enough to find her right away.
こんなことでメールを送ってくるとは思ってなかったが。
I didn't have anything to do or anyone to hang out with, so I was just sitting around in my room.
どうしたのだ今日は。やけに我が輩に優しいではないか。
No more than usual. I looked at her as if I had no idea what she was talking about. I know Miu lives on the other side of town, but what about Dee Dee? Should Noob come home with her?
DD はメイド仕事があるからと先にモノレールで帰ったぞ。
Oh. Do you want to ride the monorail home too then?
いや、歩こう。今日は気分が良いし、この時間帯のモノレールはお主が避けたいだろう。
I don't really want to risk it myself. Realizing that even Crow was worried about me, I just had to sigh at that. Speaking of, where were you hanging out with Dee Dee?
商店街の方だな。
The usual, huh?
いろいろな店を回ってから、今日は噂のカラオケに連れて行ってもらったのだ。
Do you even know any of this era's popular songs?
さっぱりわからん。いや、お主の部屋のテレビでアイドルの歌などは少し耳にしたが、さすがに歌詞や節までは覚えておれん。だが、我が輩は童謡や賛美歌などは歌えるのだ。
Children's songs, as a joke, are one thing, but gospel hymns in a karaoke box? Never heard of that before.
DD もミュウもノリノリで合唱していたのだが、
I recall Dee Dee saying she attends church in the UK, but I guess Mew must have heard them from somewhere and happened to remember or something. That must have been one adorable karaoke competition. I'd like to have it a try myself. Make sure you invite me along next time.
よかろう。
Right. Shall we get going then?
うむ。
I wanted to get going, but even after she nodded, Crow still didn't move from where she stood. She glanced around restlessly, and then her gaze focused on me again.
まあ、ご主人。
What?
時間がもったいないな。
Crow smiled and said something weird. What do you mean?
いや、このまま帰れば楽しい時間が終わってしまうのがもったいないということだ。そういう気持ちを抱いたのだ。
You mean to say you're having so much fun, you wish you could stay and play into the night?
そうではない。お腹が空いているから帰りたいが、何か言い方がおかしかったか？
Crow cocked her head curiously to the side. No, I understand. Crow was wallowing in her ambivalent emotions. She had memories of happiness, and also knew that they were wistful remembrances of time gone by. Nostalgia and a summer's night. Well, let me tell you something useful.
なんじゃ？
At times like this, you'll appreciate your feelings more if you think about the fact that there's always tomorrow.
明日のこと？
It's like a promise. Let's go play again tomorrow, or something.
なるほど。それは明暗だ。
Even though I had told her something that was actually incredibly mundane, Crow displayed a beaming smile.
では、明日はミュウと DD とご主人も一緒に遊ぶか？ミュウにメールするか？
I bet you wish you could use the pocket watch to go back in the beginning of the day. I scratched my cheek with a hint of bashfulness. How does the shopping district after school sound tomorrow?
お主と二人でか？
Well, if you'd rather have Mew and Dee Dee come along too, then I'm fine with...
何を言う。お主と遊べるなんてものすごく楽しみだ。おお、確かに約束は良いな。ワクワクしてきてしまった。明日か。早く明日にならんものか。
The wistful mood she had a moment ago had seemingly completely evaporated as Crow spun around in circles while we walked.
おーい、ご主人。そういうことなら急ぎ帰るぞ。今日は早くね。
Oops. You know, hurrying on your own isn't going to make time hurry with you. Rather, the more excited she got, the more slowly time would seem to pass. Oh well. I grinned and started walking after her, but then noticing how Crow was gazing up at the sky, I found myself doing the same as well. The sky was red. My heart was pounding. I understood.
だけどレイ君はきっと好きになった子のためなら何でもしちゃう。流されてじゃなくて自分の意志でだから止められない。
I realized just how correct Makoto had been. Michiru, Makoto, and Masaki's worries were spot on. When the three of them warned me not to return Crow's affections, I told them I wouldn't. I had to lie to them. Crow hadn't realized it, but the promise we just made was basically a date. I still wasn't on course to die on the monorail at dusk like before, but I was steering myself towards my own death of my own village. I recognized that. I had probably come to like Crow. This like wasn't quite the same as what I had once felt for the other girls, but it could easily change into the same thing. However, the feelings of love for this ex-goddess, now a human girl, which had blossomed into my heart, were something I couldn't bear to stomp out. I wanted to water that little sprouted seed of love, so it would blossom into a beautiful flower. That was the kind of like I felt. And since Crow had saved my life twice, I owed her quite a debt. And above all, if Crow was going to become attracted to any member of the opposite sex, then I wanted it to be me. Especially thinking back on that day, when I didn't have the courage to reach out to Mew. Those were my most genuine feelings. Someday, I knew the end would come, even if it didn't come on the monorail at dusk. Therefore, time, my time, was something I couldn't afford to waste. All I wanted was for this ex-goddess who had fallen in love with a lowly human to smile for me. I wanted to see that flower bloom. Crow suddenly yelled at me from a ways away. Well, let's just hope the sprout I'm trying to water actually is able to blossom like that. I shrugged my shoulders and started walking after her. Living on Easy Street was more my style. And there we go. Oh man. So now what's gonna happen? It looks like we don't care anymore. We're going straight for doesn't matter if we die or not. Huh. I wish I had more to say about what just went down, but I'm at a loss for words as usual. If you made it this far, you made it to the end, thanks for watching, appreciate it. And there will be another video tomorrow, same time.